Hey guys, and welcome to stage 3 of my Prusa i3 build here. Today I'm going to work on doing the y-carriage. Things that you're going to need is a hotbed, or definitely suggest a hot plate. Helps a lot for ABS. Some MDF for the base for your hot plate or your hotbed to attach to. Your finished stage 1, which we got right here, as well as some other components. I've got my y-carriage belt, some wood screws that are flush mount, the Z-axis bearings, linear bearings, the plastic parts to hold them, as well as the plastic belt tensioner or attachment, some springs, and your bearing, and odd and end hardware that I'll just kind of go through as we kind of move through. First thing I wanted to point out was I'm using a Helios hotbed. I really like this so far. About the same price as an MK2 hotbed. It's much thicker. Yeah, I mean it's really sturdy. It doesn't seem like it's going to flop as much. So there's some other cool features on here too. All the holes here are all recessed, and so you can use a flush mounted screws to attach, and then you've got the whole surface to put a piece of glass on top of it. Some other cool things here as well too is I kind of covered over it already, but for the thermistor, they actually have a trace that goes back all the way back to where your power is. So all you have to do is right behind here is just 2 solder points, solder your thermistor there, and then you just have to attach the wires here, and you're set for your thermistor. No more running wires underneath it and taping it with Kapton tape. The powers, nice large holes. This actually came with all the hardware. Here we go. Everything needed to attach this came with the kit, and I'm really happy for it. Even power lugs as well too. Even as well as this insulation tape, this fiberglass tape came with it as well. I'm really happy with this, and hopefully it will work as well as it looks. So. For me, what I'm going to do with my Y-bed is I'm going to actually use springs on it to help level it out. It is different, or some people prefer just a solid mount. I could see the point, but for me, I like that little bit of adjustment. So I am using some heavier duty springs for that, so any kind of bouncing should be limited. First thing I did was I cut out a piece of, from an MDF, a 1/2 inch piece of MDF, cut out a 9x9 square. From there, I just kind of placed my board right on here and centered it up, and then marked my mounting holes, and then just drilled through it. So those are my mounting holes on the sides here. These clips right here are actually going to be for bullnose clips, or paper clips to attach the glass to. That way, you just have spots that it can go right to the board and just attach pieces of glass to and be able to remove them. So that really pretty much takes care of this board right here. The second piece of MDF here is 9 inches wide by about 5 inches tall. This is going to actually use what the carriage bearings are going to be riding on, and I attached to. So this sits underneath it. What I ended up doing was marking out where my 4 mounting holes are, which are going to mount to this. Centered these up and drilled through to have my 4 holes here. Now you may be able to see they're smaller in the back, larger on the front. I did recess these mounting holes. That way my M4 screws will be able to sit below the surface that attaches this plate to this plate. So first things first is I'm going to take my M4 screws here, M4 by 40 I believe, and just place them in here. Alright, that was pretty easy enough. Flip her over, take this, and first things first, don't want to forget these. Place the springs over the top. Then take this board and just slide this on. Alright. What I suggest, definitely if you're going to go the spring route, is get yourself some wing nuts. This will help minute tensioning, help it out a whole lot. I used to do the just screws and nuts method, and it just went away with it and just started using wing nuts. So I'll just go around in the corners here and just attach each wing nut. Alright, cool. Basically we've got ourselves a nice wide bed that's with some springs on here. To make sure that this plate and this plate are parallel to each other and not you don't have any of this going on, just take your caliper, find a set distance that you want to mark, and then just go around to each corner and adjust the springs until all four corners are close to each other. There we go. There'll be more fine tuning once you get to the actual builds, once we get to the build platform and we get the extruder on, but it's good to at least start with something that's really close to parallel. So once this is finished, we're essentially set to attach the top of the bed here. So what we'll just do next here is line this up. And using this hardware that came with it, I'm just going to attach the bed to the plate here. Alright, I pretty much have this attached. What I did notice as going through, they only give you 4 flush mounting screws here. And I did notice that as I was putting this together, the board does bend a little bit because of the insulation underneath it. So just taking a look, what I might end up doing is just getting a few more and filling up these other holes right here, or else just backing off on these until they get to a nice, till they all flattens out, and then just double knot them so that that's a nice solid height right there. So something to think about as I just keep going forward here, just to make sure that this stays nice and perfectly flat. If you ever want to check exactly how flat your board is, just take a piece of glass and set it on top of it. That's going to be your best bet as far as making sure everything's nice and parallel. Another thing you can try doing is, if you got yourself a good one, is just taking a look, setting your level on there, and then take a look at the ceiling or light source, if you look and you see light peeking through it, you know it's not flat. So, but moving on. So, we've got our stationary bed right here. Next is we've got our motor mount. I've already gone ahead and I've attached our motor here. I'm just going to tighten it up just a bit more. Alright, then I'll place my pulley. Now these can be printed or whatever you prefer. I'm just going to slide this on here, making sure that the grub screw is up toward the flat, and just place that there till. So we'll want to make sure to line up everything here in a bit. So pop this out here. Actually, the other thing you need is your smooth rods here, and I'll just see if I just have these right here, already kind of inside the frame. What I did, let's see, because this thing's going to need to pop off. So, watch out that you don't do what I end up doing and putting the rod on before you actually need it. So then you got to take it off. Alright, back to what I was saying before. So, I've got the smooth rods here. These are the y-axis smooth rods, same one as the Prusa i2. And what I've done is I've just kind of taken it and worked it back and forth and slid it into one end and left the other end open and loose like this. We'll take the clamp later on and then snap these in. But you want these loose because, well, you need to install your bearings. So take your bearings and slide them on. Should have nice movement. Cool. Alright, now we'll take our bed here. As you can see, I've kind of made some holes here. This is where I did a little bit measuring before, but what I did was found the center line of the board across this way. I found the center line and marked a spot, and marked the center of the board. As well as on one edge, I placed the center mark here. This is just going to help me align up, placing the one side of the mounting bearing holder on one, just lining up there as well as lining up on the top here. So, yep, that guy fell out. Not a problem. Take the bed and turn it upside down. Now, because I've done this, it'll be a bit easier for me to find everything again, but you want to take your time on this because, well, you're centering up your bed and you want to make sure that you are nice and centered. So, kind of going from here, with this one I lined up the center of this, or the center of the hole, to the center here. So we're good there. I spaced these two further out, or as in so that my wing nuts I'll still be able to adjust them without hitting the holder itself, but still give me space for stability. Another thing you want to make sure to do, take your caliper, make sure you are equidistant, mainly on this end, but as well as you want to make sure that you're equidistant from the edge of here to your smooth rod, or you can go to the edge of here to your guide as well. Here, just want to make sure you're equal on either side. That way, you know your plate's in the middle of this. So, because I've already done this, I'm almost positive that I'm lined up pretty well. Yeah. Oh, just a little off in there. Here go. Great. So now we're nice and lined up. Take my screwdriver. I'm going to use these wood screws and I'm going to attach each one of these. There you go. We've got ourselves where we're at bed. Talking about before, where we have these still sticking up. If you're having trouble, one of these clamps works really nice. Just go on the other end and right down, and it pops right in. There we go. We've got our bed. So, looks nice and square. Now we're going to put the belt. Actually, first thing we need to do is this belt tensioner. Now, one thing to watch out is with these plastic parts, I'm using ABS. When you're screwing into wood with these screws, lighten back on your torque. It is really easy to crack these, and I actually just did start to crack one of these right when I was first going. So watch out for that. But getting back to here is what I did. That's why I created this triangle, or sorry, this cross before, was so I could take this piece and just line it up on center, line the one hole on the center line, and just kind of find the middle here and place it in. So let me screw this guy down. Alright, cool. So we've got our nice Y-bend here. I'm going to install the bearing on this end. Now, before, I told you before that this is going to be for both Y and the X, and it still holds true. I just forgot to cut it, but for installation and video purposes here, I'm just going to use the whole length right now, just so I can line everything back up. I'll be going back and cutting this down. So, first things first is install the bearing to this end. I'm placing a washer on either side of here, on the insides of the inner race. That way when I squeeze in on it, it squeezes on the inner race there and still allows the outer race to turn. I'm doing to kind of line this up is you want all of it, everything to line up based off of here. So I've moved the carriage all the way this way, and I'm going to just kind of sight in a center point here. We could do finer adjustments once we get the belt on, but this will get me at least in a ballpark. When you're adding the belt on here, make sure that you install that set screw, because if it isn't below the surface, it will prevent the belt from turning or from completely going around. And actually, sorry, it won't prevent it from going around. It'll actually just skip a step. You don't want that. Go. Right. Take my belt here. So if I'm going to guess, these loops go, you want the ends toward your bed here, going through. And it looks like it just kind of pops up through here. So well, I'm not exactly sure how this all attaches to, or how this thing is supposed to all work, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our good friend zip tie and do what I think it needs to happen. I may just go back and use the old-fashioned ones, which are just a little bar with the 2 holes through it. We'll see. I'll have to look up some more documentation, see if I can't find out how exactly these work. Looks like it's a nifty idea. I just can't figure it out right now. Alright, here we go. As you can see, we've got ourselves a working, at least functioning, Y bed right here. So, I'm going to do a little bit of adjustments here to make sure that the belt lines up nice. I'm not going to trim off the excess belt just yet, but I am extremely happy with the amount of travel that I have. Just made this up here real quick. With stage 2. Oh yeah. So want more complete coverage right here in the Z. Sorry, in the Y direction right here. Full 200. Great. Alright, well, that ends stage 3 here. Thank you very much for everything you've, for all the comments and stuff, and have a good one.